Hey, what's going on everyone? My name's Steven. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to integrate Wwise into Unreal Engine. I'm going to be showing you my workflow and how I do it for my own games, and I'm going to be showing you using 3 common audio assets that are normally used in the games that I do. Those assets are going to be some music, some player sound effects, and some object/ambient sound effects. Let's get started. Alright, so the first thing you want to do is install the Epic Games launcher and Wwise. So I'm going to show you how to do that stuff on my other computer. Okay, so next you want to install Unreal Engine. I also will put the link to it. Go over to the right, hit download. There is a publishing and creators license. I did the publisher's license. This, it doesn't really matter. I believe the features are more or less the same. So, and especially for you, if you're just doing music and adding it, it's not really that big of a deal. Alright, so what that's going to do is it's going to install the Epic Games launcher. Okay, so you're going to want to launch the Epic Games launcher. Now, of course, you're going to need to have an Epic Games account. So if you don't have one, you got to create one. And if you do, just log in. Go over to Unreal Engine and simply install Engine. Make sure you know where you're putting it if you want to locate it somewhere else. Just going to hit install. And then it's going to install. Okay, so once you've installed all of the stuff for Unreal Engine, so I've got my own games and stuff for example, but if you're just starting a new one, you're going to want to go to games, and this is just for a demo thing too as well. Like if you're just trying to get this stuff set up, we'll just do first person for the time being. Okay, so if you're just doing this, you can just do blueprints for now. Sometimes you do projects where it's C++ and blueprints. Don't worry about that for now. Okay, so select a location where you want it to be stored. We'll call it integration project. Awesome name, don't you think? So go ahead and create your project, whatever you want to name it, doesn't matter. Okay, so it's going to start to load up. It's thinking on my end. There's actually a little, you can't see it, it's on the other end. It's thinking. Okay, cool. So here is the actual project. This is what's going to happen when you first load in. The main things you really want to be looking for is this thing. Sometimes it's not open by default, this little guy. You want to click on that. This is generally where all this stuff is put. Now that we've created a project, now we're going to want to be able to find this project in Wwise's launcher. The last thing you're going to need to do is just save your project. So we've done that. Okay, so now let's open up Wwise. Okay, so you want to go to wwise.com. You want to come over to where it says Get Wwise. You want to hit Download Wwise, select your platform, and then it's going to start downloading. So once you're done following all the instructions to install Wwise, just open it up. And the first thing here, now I've already logged in. You're going to have to log in, so I think you're going to have to create an account. Just make sure you log in first, and then you want to come over here to the Wwise tab on the top, and then you want to make sure you've got the latest version. I think generally the latest version is already on there by default. Okay, so this is the most sort of important part when you're doing it. Make sure you also, by default, it doesn't do the SDK files. Make sure you put that there. So generally you're building for Windows and Apple. What you want to do, just go over here, do Visual Studio 2019, and then with Apple, just that. If you're doing other platforms and you are, just do that accordingly. Just sort of hit next. Okay, so the plugins that Wwise automatically selects, like these Mastering Suite, Wwise Motion, and so on, you can use these, but you have to register your project with Wwise, and it's a bit of a hassle. I haven't done it personally myself. I will try it again in the future, and I guess I will report back maybe on using some of these. But in the projects that I've done so far, I haven't ever needed to use them. And so I guess the idea that I have is just, if you don't need them, don't install them. So I'm just going to deselect all of these. Okay, so it's important to know where this one here, your target directory, is, because when you are integrating your project with Wwise, you might get an error like this that will say that it can't find the SDK files. The SDK files will be located inside here, and I'll show you that later. So we're just going to go and hit install. It's going to do its thing. It's going to take a bit of time. Now that we've already gone and installed all Wwise before now, we're up to date and stuff. We're going to go over to Unreal Engine, this little tab here. And actually, we're lucky. It actually just popped up automatically. It doesn't always do that. And if it doesn't, what you want to do is you want to go over to this little thingamajigbob, and you want to just hit browse for project. Now you can go look for wherever you put that. Okay, so now it's as simple as just hitting integrate project. Okay, cool. I'm glad we got this error. When you get it, you won't be glad, but anyways, but if you do have this, error that says no Wwise SDK path specified, what you want to go do is you want to go to your file explorer. Now you can actually you don't need to open it like this. You just go over, you just click this little drop down, you're just going to hit browse. Okay, so that's going to pop open my file explorer. And so wherever you installed Wwise, the actual Wwise download, that's where your SDK files are going to be. So in my case, and I believe it might be a general case too, but you're going to have local disk, program files x86, the audio kinetic, and right here, this is going to be where my files. Just a real quick thing, if you do install other versions of Wwise, this is also where it's going to be downloaded. I actually ended up deleting them because they, I didn't really need them after that. But okay, so you're going to go in here and you've got SDK right there. You're just going to hit select folder. Boom, now it's fixed. Awesome. So now the last thing really is just specifying a Wwise project path. If you don't have a Wwise project created, you can just leave this blank. But if you do have one, you say, for example, you created one before, you just find the Wwise project. For this example, I'm just going to hit integrate because I'm just going to create a new Wwise project. Okay, so once your integration is done, it's going to give you this green prompt that says operation completed successfully. I'm just going to show you some stuff in Wwise now and how to get that all set up and then integrate it into Unreal. Here is Wwise. If you haven't dealt with Wwise before, it might be a little bit tricky, especially if you're coming from a DAW background, because you're kind of used to it being kind of linear way. And when you're looking at the sort of organizational system in Wwise, it's set up in a hierarchical way, in where you've got a parent and child, and things are kind of organized in a certain way. The main tabs that you're going to be using are going to be in this layout here. When you first start out, you're going to be in Designer. The other ones that are really important are Sound Bank and your interactive music. So we're going to go back to the Designer. Now let's get some sounds in. First, we're going to start off with a sound effect. I'm going to do this under the actor mixer hierarchy. So I'm just going to click on this little guy right here, is where it says default work unit. I'm going to right click, go to new child, and then I'm going to say sound effects. So I'm just going to call this grapple gun. Okay, so we've got this thing put in, we gave it the name, but now it's red. And if I hit space, nothing's going to happen because obviously I didn't import it. So what I want to do is I just want to hit Shift and I together. That's going to allow me to bring up the audio file importer. Alternatively, you can also just sort of go import files here. And then what you want to do on your computer, you did your DAW, and you made your sound effects, music, and you want to bring that in. I guess I recommend, if you're doing this video along with me, I would recommend getting a test bit of music, a sound effect, maybe for a player, and then just an environmental sound that sort of loops. So first I'm going to just do the one-shot sound of a gun. I put it in, and I'm going to hit import. This kind of thing where it says overwrite, I believe you're not going to get that issue. I've done this sort of before just to test everything. Should be fine. So you'll import it. Now look, watch, now it's going to be blue, and now it's going to play the sound. Awesome. So let's go to the music. So with music, we're going to do the exact same thing. Shift I or right click and go through that. I'm going to import my music. Okay, same sort of thing. Okay, so now I've got my music in here. So the music segment will play. This is the music that I've got there. When you're importing it, you want to make sure that you set a proper naming convention. Unlike myself, I just did this really, really quick. When you are setting it up, make sure your tempo up here is matching. So for example, it's 120, which this track is not. But, you set that up. This is why I'm having some discrepancies here in terms of, when I can loop and stuff. But just for the sake of it, I'm just going through it, okay? You can set your tempo and your time signature here and volume. And then this is sort of your start and end time where it loops. But yeah, you can sort of do the general DAW things where you can do fades, adjust it like that. And to zoom in is really strange. It's Control and Shift together. That's to zoom in. Shift is to go left and right. Control and the mouse wheel is to go kind of up and down stuff. Anyways, generally when I'm working with music, I use states. And that's just going to allow you to create dynamic music. So if you want to go from combat state to explore game state, or if you have stingers, for example, you want to be able to dynamically change. And you can do that in the game engine. But in here, you're not necessarily going to be doing it for this example, but I think it's just a good practice to know of. Let's create a music switch container. I'm just going to give this the wonderful name music, very descriptive. And then in this music switch container, we're also going to create, oh, I'm sorry, I'm actually doing it up here. You just go here. When you're doing it, just right click, new child, music switch container. And this is the same thing here. So in the music switch container, this is going to be a child of the music switch container. I am going to do a new child and music playlist container. Okay, and this is going to be, I'm going to call this explore track. Awesome. Okay, now I'm going to put my sound in here. Now, do you see the little structure we've got here? Music is the parent, and now these guys are the children of it. One important thing is, if you play this and you do this in Game Engine, it's not going to loop. So you need to set that. So in order to loop it, what we're going to do is we're going to click on the music playlist container, which is this one right here. It's kind of like some Jenga thing. You want to just click and drag right below here. And it's going to just do that. And what you want to do if you want it to loop infinitely, there's many other options that you can do. I won't go into it, but just for this one, just get it to loop infinitely. Super. But in your other tracks, you need to make sure that you will hit override and, set whatever 120 or 640 or whatever tempo you want to do. Okay, now that we've got our explore track in here, what we're going to do is we are going to bring in our sound effect that's going to be like an ambient sound effect. Not an ambient sound effect, but like an object sound effect in the world. Now, what I like to do generally is create folders. It just helps with organization. I think of them in three ways. I think of them as, and this is how I do it. You don't have to do it my way, but it's worked for me, and I'm just going to show you. So I do sound effect environment, SFX player. The last one is going to be sound effects enemy. Okay, so now in these ones, I can simply just put this one, which is the grapple gun. I consider this a player sort of thing, right? So now let's add our robots, the ambient sort of sound here, or an object sound. Okay, so I'm just going to select this one, hit import. Now that's going to be in here. So you've got the sound effects player. This is going to play that sound, and then here is my robot sound. This is going to be an ambient sound you're going to hear in the map. Okay, now it's important you set that guy to loop. So once you've put your audio, all your stuff into here, you can see it like that. What you have to do is you have to create an event for each of these sort of things. You don't have to always have an event for every single audio, but you have to have an event that basically plays that audio. I kind of got confused when I first was doing this. I was like, okay, well, I already put the audio in. Now, why isn't it not working? And why can't I just send it over to Unreal Engine? What you need to do is you need to make sure that you have something that is called. So the game engine or whatever code is going to say, hey, I want this sound to play. And then the event is basically doing, okay, this sound. Okay, maybe grapple sound. Okay, then let's play that sound. Think of it like a reservoir. What you've just done by adding all the sounds in there is you added a hierarchy to it and all that kind of stuff, but then you've created this reservoir of sounds to now choose from. What we're doing with the events over in this tab here is basically creating a way to select which ones, pick and choose which ones, and we can give them certain criteria, for example, and I'll show you that. And when I mean criteria, I just mean like you can play them, you can stop them, and you can do many, many other things, but we'll just say play and stop for now, okay? So generally here we're going to be in events, same as we're doing before. We're just going to go new child, but now we're just going to hit event. Let's just start off with the grapple gun. Now, what I like to do, I'm not going to do this because of time, but I like to mimic this, right? So I created SFX enemy and so, and then as well as music too. I'm not going to do that just for the sake of time. Click on this. This part here is going to show up. Go over to audio. Click on your whatever you want to bring to that, and then just click and drag. Now you're going to see here, now in your event, this is actually what's going to happen. So when this event is called by the game engine, it's going to play the grapple sound. Now you can actually set it to many, many different things. Stop all. This is just in a basic form. It'll just simply play your sound. Very easy. Cool. Let's do new child and event. Cool. So now our robot loop, same as before. We select the one here, go over to audio, drag the actual event in here. my mistake. You drag the actual sound effect in there, and it's going to do the exact same thing. You see that? So now it's going to play robot loop. Okay, let's do a last one here. We'll just call play. This is how I do it, and this is how I set it up with states, because I just have one. It might be a bit confusing to you at first, but I think it's a better way to go like this when you're setting up just one sort of thing to play music rather than multiple pieces of music. For example, in here, I would not create an event for a combat track and an explore track. I would just create one event and then change it with states. Now I hope that's not too much over your head at this point, but for this case here, it'll become apparent if you use multiple tracks, but for this example, I'm only using one. So play music will suffice. Yeah, it's important that I don't just drag this one over, because if I do, then the looping that I created in here, this loop, this infinite loop, is not going to be attached to that. So what I want to do is I actually want to make sure I grab the, you want to grab the Jenga, the music playlist container. Okay, cool. So you want to grab that one and go to play music. Okay, just click on that. Support track, boom, in there. So now, if we go over to our events, we've got our events in here. One that's going to play the grapple sound. I can hit space and that's going to do it. One that's going to play music, and one that's going to do a robot loop for, an ambient sound in the map. Dope. All right. So the next thing you want to do, I know it's like there's so many different things you have to do just to get things working. But I promise it's almost over. So once you've created the event, that now you're grabbing from the pool, the reservoir of sounds that you've created, now you have to get it so it's sort of set up so that Wwise can talk with Unreal. And what we do is we put them into a sound bank. So what we're going to do is go up to the top, go to layouts. We're going to hit sound bank. When you're setting up a sound bank, just click on new. I like to separate music and sound effects into two separate ones. You don't have to, but I like to, and I'm just going to do it. Oh no, I spelt it horribly wrong. Okay, so you've got your SFX here. I capitalized 2 and didn't do 1. I'm an idiot. All right, so next you want to do is get your music and spell it right too. Oh dear. Here we go. Okay, so basically these are our two sound banks that we're going to be using to interact with Unreal Engine. What we want to do is click on both of these guys. We're gonna, if you're building for Mac too as well, you want to click this one too, but if not, just do Windows, and then language is English. And then you want to add in, I guess the order of it doesn't necessarily matter. You do want to add in your stuff first too. But you want to grab your events and sort of drag them in. Now, of course, actually, I almost did that by accident. So your robot loop, you can just simply drag and put on your SFX like this, robot loop and grapple gun, I believe. Yeah, here we go. And then the other one for music, I'm going to do just simply play music. In here, you can see now in this sound bank, I'm going to have this event that plays the grapple gun and this event that plays the robot loop. And this one is going to be music. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to hit generate all. Now you could, I'm sorry, it popped up on my other screen, but it's going to, do a prompt. If everything is good, it's going to look like this. You're not going to have any errors. If you do have some errors, I wish you luck. Oh, and I guess the last thing is to make sure to save. And I'm not just saying just save. Now, of course, like for the obvious reasons of saving, when you're doing your workflow and working back and forth between Wwise and Unreal, say, for example, I wanted to change, like, for example, a volume change, or I wanted to add a new event. The way you sort of do it, you add the audio, you create the event for it, make sure it's all lined up, and then bring the event into the sound bank. Generate the sound bank, or you can just generate the selected to just click on it and generate. Once that's done, go over to project saver, Control S. You got to make sure you do that, because I've had times where I've just generated selected and then gone into Unreal Engine and I'm like, why is it not working? And that's just because it's I don't know why. It just sometimes doesn't work. So you just need to make sure you hit save. Make sure it's on Windows too. That is pretty much it in Wwise. Now I'm going to show you all the stuff in Unreal Engine and how to get all that stuff set up. So once you've integrated, this is the integration project. You can just hit open Unreal. Okay, so after you set up all the stuff in Wwise and you've generated your sound banks, you're going to come into Unreal Engine. If you right click, for example, and you see Audio Kinetic, it means that your integration worked properly. Also, you hit Window and Wise Picker, that kind of stuff will be there. If not, just if you had the Unreal Engine open before, just close it and reopen it. The first thing you want to do is go and create a folder. Okay, so let's go do this. Just create a folder, and we're just going to call this audio. Okay, so now in our audio folder, you're going to right click, hit Audio Kinetic Bank. We're going to name this music, and then we're going to create another one, and it's going to be the SFX one. Audio Kinetic Bank, like that. Okay, cool. I believe you have to follow the same naming convention as the banks in here. So this is the same thing. This is what it's being referenced, right? These are the banks that I'm creating. This is the sound bank. Now that I've got my sound banks created, the music and SFX, what I want to do is actually create the sounds too as well. So this is where I continue my naming convention. So I've got SFX and music. Okay, so in your music folder, now you're going to go to Window up in the top left, go to Wise Picker, under Event, Default Work Unit, you're just going to grab your music. Put that in. Awesome. You can do two ways of doing it. The easier way is just to double click it, but you can also just go Edit in here, right click on the thing, Edit, and then you're going to go into the required bank, and then you're going to hit Music. Hit Save, and then you should be good to go. Yeah, so here, sound effects, and then same sort of thing, go into Window, Wise Picker. You can select multiple things at a time, so I can go the grapple gun in this one, click and drag. Now they're in here. A good way to select a lot of them at the same time when you're importing them, hold Shift, or select if you're, going around things. Right click, you can hit Edit, and then go to sound effects. You select your one, hit Save. I clicked on this one, right? But now this one is also set too. So that's just a quick way to get a lot of them set up. Okay, so the last thing you need to do is just go over to here, Build, and this little drop down, you're going to go to Generate Sound Data. And if you're just doing Windows, you just select this, but if you're doing both, you don't even need to touch it. And you're going to hit Generate. It's going to do the thing down here. It's going to ask to import some stuff. You say, sure, why not? We can just test them by just hitting play event and then, stop event. And so now our sounds are working. Okay, so let's just start off with the object sound. So we're just going to click and drag it in. These little red things allow us to manipulate where we want it in the, in the environment. Real quick, if you don't know how to navigate in Unreal, just right click and you're going to be able to look around. WASD to move around, and mouse wheel forward to go really fast, and mouse wheel backwards to go really slow. So you just kind of find out what works for you. So now you want to double click on this, go to Blueprint, Add Script, hit Select. You're going to want to go to Event Graph. And now in Event Graph, we've got a couple different ones. We do use Event Actor Begin Overlap, and a lot of the times you end up putting stuff in different spots, but a lot of the, for at least just this event, we're just going to do Event Begin Play. So we're just going to click on this little arrow thing, and we're going to do what's called dragging a node. Okay, you drag the node just to a random spot, and then you're going to let go. And then it's going to give you this little thing where executable actions is. You want to type in capital POST event. It doesn't have to be all super neat. It's going to give you this thing under Audio Kinetic and Actor. Click on that guy. It's going to pop up. Oh, how nice. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to attach an event to this this call. It's now going to be, what's going to happen is now this game engine when the game starts, it's going to send a call, and it's going to say, hey, I want you to play an event. And so what event? Well, that event will be the robot loop, right? Okay, so now it's going to play that sound, but then we also have to say where it's going to be playing from. We're just going to type in self, and that is the end of that. So now what you can also do when you're working in blueprints, you can sort of do what's called docking them. You just drag it, you click on the actual top part, and then drag it. Now I can go into here and access this blueprint whenever I want. When you're doing bigger blueprints, it's important. All right, so I'm just going to hit play, and now my sound is in here. It's in the environment. It's not necessarily, perfect in terms of its attenuation, and it's not sounding like extremely realistic because you don't really see an object attached to it. But just in general, for getting, a sound in there, this is, generally what you want to do. Next, let's add music. Adding music is very, very similar to ambient sounds or just object sounds. Simply just click and drag it in. We're going to do the exact same thing. Click on that. Event graph, begin play, post event, reference the self, select the event, play music, hit compile, save, you can close that. But there's one main difference. If you start and play this right now, I think actually it might work. Okay, so I can hear the music now, right? Watch. Where did it go? So now what's happening is it's being occluded. And it took me a while to figure this out, but it's really, really simple. It's simply just this. So you click, make sure you're clicking on the right. This is the play music blueprint. What you want to do, go over to your occlusion, refresh interval, and you can just hit 0 like that. Alternatively, you also can go open blueprint, and you can, if you don't have that tab, you can just also do set occlusion refresh interval, or there's the scaling factor as well as set occlusion refresh interval as well. So you can do both of these, but generally if you just do this one, you can do the same sort of thing, and you want to set it to 0. And also, so many things. Reference the self like that. Okay, but we're not doing that. Just that. Okay, cool. Compile, save, and we're out of there. Perfect. Now, if I go, now it's 2D. The sound, you can think of it as 2D. So it's in the environment. Now I've got the sound. Awesome. And I go, watch, look, see now I know you can't see it, but now the sound of the robots, it's not the loudest, but you can sort of hear them. But now I go away. Okay, the robots are sort of, let's just hear, are they still there? Yeah, they're gone. They're occluded. Perfect. And now I'm back. You can hear them. Okay, cool. So that's just a general idea on how to put ambient sounds, object sounds, and the music. Let's do the actual sounds for the gun. Now, this is going to be a bit trickier, and this is going to kind of go into the realm of talking to the program. Generally, you can just ask the programmer where to put it, and they'll give you an idea on where you can put it. But for this one, if you're just trying to get it to work, so actually in here, we're going to go into first person BP, blueprints. Yeah, so this is a big one. So the first person character, a lot of the times we'll put stuff in here that's relating to the character. If we go into here, we might actually be able to see where it says play. Here we go. Play sound at that location. Now this, you can simply just do a one that's like this. Post event at location, like so. And then we can just drag this to be like that. And then we're going to select our event, and this is going to be the grapple gun. You can go into the map and select orientation. You don't have to necessarily do this. You can also, technically just do a post event and just reference the self too as well. But let's just try it here. Compile, save, and now, oh, hey, look, it's my sound. Makes no sense. Okay, so that is pretty much the way to integrate these three sounds. That was probably a lot, and the more you do this sort of stuff, the easier it will get for you. Alright, so that pretty much does it for the video. I hope you learned something. If you got something out of it, I really would appreciate a like, and consider subscribing, because I'm going to be putting out some more content related with Wwise and Unreal and integration and music creation, sound effect stuff. There's also a video that I put out recently covering how to start a game jam. This will probably go pretty well with this video. I'll link them probably together. And so, yeah, if you're looking to get started in game jams, make sure you check out that video as well. That's pretty much it. Hope you all have a great day. Take care.